bikini strictly. I mean, he stayed up long hours and long nights with me for the posing, but figure was just new to the both of us. Like, we did very little research. I had not very much experience with my posing. And at this point, since I've turned over and just focused on figure, I've really just been doing the majority of everything on my own.
Why on your own with with the posing? Like, if I could ask you that.
I have a hard time taking directions from other people, and I live really far away from any of like the local bodybuilders. So I'm not able to meet with somebody in person, and that is the way that I would learn best. And I did try, like in the very beginning, to have a posing coach that I would meet with on FaceTime. And it was really difficult. Like, I just could not comprehend things because the camera switched. So when she's telling me to move a certain way and do something, it was like my brain was not processing it properly. But once I started obsessing about the videos and watching other people's routines, that is when I locked in and started learning it for myself, and found that I just learned a little bit easier watching and trying to recreate it myself than having somebody try to explain it to me over the phone. And really just as simple as that, there's nobody available to train me in person near me. I mean, I'm 4 hours away from like the major cities. I live very far up north. And so having a coach that would even work out with me and bring me through the workouts or do posing with me in person, which is vital for most bodybuilders. Like, they want a posing coach they can meet with in person or go to a local gym. I have a gym in my house. I don't even go to a gym most of the time. So it's just that it's kind of scarce up here and there's not a lot of availability. So learning on my own and learning these things for myself was the easiest way to be able to do it and stay on top of it.
I'm sure that's not very easy to do, like doing it by yourself, taking all that information, and especially like just learning about the human body, of health and fitness and stuff.
The courses were definitely helpful. Like, even since I started the NASM courses, and did the nutrition and following that a lot, me and my husband were able to really change our diet together. And I mean, he's noticed a significant difference in the way that I've been feeding us for like the past 6 months. I mean, he's put on like 10 pounds of muscle in like the past 4 or 5 months. He's been getting great results. And it was something that I would have never learned before if I didn't take the NASM certifications. And learning it for myself was very rewarding. And I feel like, you know, now neither of us have to pay for a nutrition coach because I know what I'm doing there now.
Yeah. Is he a bodybuilder or he just like fitness?
He just does fitness. We've talked about him wanting to compete with me in the future, but his very close friend owns a gym, a Nautilus gym in Gaylord, and that's about an hour away. And he trained with Art Jones. And so they do like more of like a HIIT program, and that's what he does. That is what we started with, was more high intensity. And then over time, I started doing like one section of my body, like 4 to 6 days a week, and kind of rotating things and doing progression overload, just because of the difference in what we're looking for. He wants to be more toned and just lose weight, where I'm trying to do bodybuilding. So it was just a little bit difference in the programming that I started to learn for myself after taking the certifications and learning for myself what works best for muscle growth and muscle synthesis.
Well, like what's like the key part that you learned in your journey of getting your certificate?
I think one of the biggest things that I've learned that I didn't know very well before was like carb loading and the protein intake before and after workouts, and upping, you know, your calorie intake and macros on leg days, where before I would be in more pain the next day. I wasn't recovering as quickly. I didn't have as much energy. Every week, like, my weights would be staggering up and down because I wasn't feeding myself properly. And after taking the certifications, it's like I've been able to double a lot of my weights and have a lot more strength when I go in. And I'm always like pushing it on people, like, if we're going to go to the gym and we're going to work out, you got to have this 30 minutes before to an hour before. So it gave me a scientific breakdown on fueling your body properly for the workouts you're going to be doing. And that made me notice, instead of staggering distances or weights, I kept increasing by weight week after week instead of all of a sudden being like, I don't know why I feel so weak. But I just wasn't looking at the macros in the same way that I do now. I was always looking at macros, but I wasn't timing them correctly. And I think timing of your macros and your nutrition is crucial for a bodybuilder. And that was something that I didn't know before the way that I know now, and it's improved my workouts and my ethics so much more.
Yeah. Like, would you want to train like clients that's not a bodybuilder, or bodybuilders, like upcoming bodybuilders, like bodybuilders that's like amateur on an amateur level? Excuse my stuttering.
Yeah. What was the question? You said, would I want to, or
no? Like, what would you want to do? Like, would you want to like train like non bodybuilders or bodybuilders that coming up?
Personally, like for right now, as I'm still like learning everything myself and I'm still amateur, really probably until I would get my pro card would I try to train other bodybuilders, because I just feel like it's kind of necessary to be an expertise in something and a professional if you want to train other people to go to a professional level. So right now, it's more or less, I would want to train people that want, weight loss and body recomposition, and they're starting out in their fitness journeys. That way I feel like I can gauge more for them based on my personal experiences, and help people who are not as experienced yet. Because I mean, there's so many people that are nutrition coaches in the bodybuilding industry and are personal trainers. And so for me, I just feel like marketing wise, it would be better to market myself for people that aren't in bodybuilding, because they look at me more like, oh, you're really toned, or you've been able to lose a lot of weight, where it's not that impressive in the bodybuilding industry. Like what I'm doing, not that it's not a lot of work, but other bodybuilders look at you and they're like, oh, it's just another thing.
Yeah, a lot of people, I didn't mean to cut you,
No, you're fine.
A lot of people, a lot of bodybuilders, they do what you're doing. So, it's like to a point that there's nobody, I don't know, like they don't really stand out, if I could say that.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and it's like a different language, trying to just understand it,
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was I wanted to ask you? It was something I wanted to say, but I forgot. But I'll read this bodybuilding is a science. Once you understand it, you can figure what's best in your process.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, how would you like attract like the general public, as a bodybuilder, if I could ask you that question?
Well, I feel like it's not very hard. I genuinely turn a lot of heads when I go places because I live in a small town. And so I'm pretty sure like the only NPC bodybuilder in my city or like surrounding area. And so, I mean, I just get weird looks when I go to the grocery store based on, I dress a little bit differently, and I'm more muscular than the average woman. And my cart at Walmart always has a bunch of weird food that nobody else is grabbing off the shelves. So I feel like it's just kind of like noticeable. And when I go to the gyms like around the area and even travel out of town, my workouts just look way different than everybody else. And I mean, I'm exhausted and I make some noise when I go work out, and I bring intensity when I go places. And so I think that I genuinely just attract people based on my personality and the way that I am as a person. And it's not to be, arrogant. It's just, there's not that many people around this area. So it is very noticeable. If you're downstate, like in bigger cities like Detroit, people probably don't think too much of it. But in a small city like I'm in, it's not prevalent at all. So it's very noticeable. So the way that I've just like attracted people to like my fitness page is simply based on the area that I live in. It's intriguing to people because not a lot of people do that sort of thing around here.
Yeah, like you in Michigan. So have you ever seen come across Andrea Shaw or Linda Murray? because
I have
they
not met
really.
them in person. I know that Andrea Shaw was at a posing clinic over the summer that Abby actually reached out to me and told me about, but unfortunately it was like almost a 5-hour drive from me, and it just ended up not working out the way that I wanted it to. I didn't feel very good, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to drive 5 hours today, and so I didn't end up going. But so it's things like that. Like even the last posing clinic I went to, it was a 4-hour drive. I had to rent a hotel for 2 days. And so it's a big expense to be a part of like the bodybuilding industry, for one. And with me being so far from where these things take place, it is a lot of like time and effort on my part to get to these places to be able to network with people in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like a different world of just, just understanding it. I've been to a few bodybuilding shows, and I'm not a bodybuilder, but just seeing all these bodybuilders, it's another planet, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, like you kind of saw you kind of like a sore thumb, and you just kind of understand the sport, because I was always curious about it, but I never did it or anything like that. So I mean, I've
Yeah.
done like calisthenics. That's
Yeah.
the furthest thing I ever done. So and running. And I know you're a marathon runner and stuff. Like how
Yeah.
long?
Yeah. I've gotten into running.
Are you just gotten into it, or you wasn't into it before?
I wasn't like, I took up running like the past 2 months and just started
Yeah,
knocking out marathons like every weekend and going for half marathons and 5Ks around the area. And honestly, I wanted to do it because I'm in the process of cutting, and a lot of bodybuilders will tell you not to run and be an avid
yeah,
runner if you're going to do bodybuilding. But with me not having another competition in the next couple of months, I'm very goal oriented. I have to have something that keeps me busy. And it's honestly like a pastime for me. I have to keep myself engaged, and I have to have structure to my life. That's like the best way that I operate. And if I don't have something that I'm looking forward to that's like in the next month or two, I start to get unmotivated. So like to keep myself motivated and continuing on and doing good in my cut and my prep phase, I took up running because I felt like it was a good thing for me to pursue while I'm waiting a few months for my next show to come up.
Okay, okay. Like, how was it when you was running? Like, when you was like doing the marathons, was a lot of people like
Yeah, the first
how
one
far
that I
did you go?
did, yeah, the first one that I did, there was like almost 3,000 people there.
Yeah,
There was a lot of people, and it was difficult because like you had to like maneuver around people and like kind of push people out of the way because it was so busy. And then the other ones that I had went to were not as busy. There was like less than 100 people there. But the Mackinac Great Turtle Race, people show up and show out like from all over the United States to go to that one. And that was super busy. Like it was super busy. But that was the first one that I did, and I ended up placing 8th in the women's overall. And then it was like I got out of everybody that raced, I placed 70th. So for someone who had no prior experience and really didn't know what they were doing, I did pretty good. And my
yeah,
time has improved over that. And the last race that I just went to, I placed first for the females and second overall. So I've just been improving myself in that right now while I'm waiting for my other competition to come up. Because like I said, it keeps me motivated. It keeps me honed in on, wanting to do something and pursue something and have an open mind to other things in fitness. Like I'm a bodybuilder, but I mean, I like powerlifting. I like running. I like doing a lot of things to keep me busy. So I would say I'm kind of like a rogue bodybuilder because I like doing a lot of different things in the fitness industry. And I definitely feel like anything fitness wise that is taking my attention span and it's physical, I'm willing to try.
yeah. When you say fitness is more of your passion, like you don't do other hobbies or anything like that?
Um, I would say like fitness is a big hobby of mine because like this purple thing up here, it's an aerial silk. And so like I'm big into anything that's physical.
Yeah.
And basically like you climb up it. It's what acrobats use in like Cirque du Soleil. And I've always been
Okay.
big into different things like that in fitness. So I'm not geared to just one thing. I take up a lot of hobbies. I stay busy. I have a lot of different things that I like to do, and I take up a lot of different hobbies at one time and then find what I'm most passionate about and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I could show some clips of you flexing and stuff. You know, let me see. I just had it, but yeah, yeah. So
I
yeah,
was
this
taking my supplements.
did like on your first show, did they have anything about like your tattoos? Like, did they have anything to say about it or?
No, and that was something that I was worried about. But I did meet Sandy, who is a judge in the IFBB Pro League, and she organizes a lot of stuff. And she was at the first posing clinic that I went to. And I asked her personally, like, are my tattoos and my piercings going to affect my placement or like the judge's perspective of me? And she said, no, that doesn't matter. And at the show at the time, I didn't take out any of my piercings, and I had like big cheek piercings in. And I didn't notice that my tattoos really made a difference once that tan was on and that glaze, that like you can still see the muscularity. And I mean, I placed really well for like my first show, and I got what I came for. And so overall, I wouldn't say that it's something to be concerned about, but I do think that it probably is personal preference to each judge, how they feel based on your personal presentation of yourself and how you look with them. Like if you walk out and you don't seem well put together, and if I wouldn't have had my hair done and my nails done and my makeup done right, and I walked out with, tattooed body and a bunch of piercings in my face, it might not have looked as nice. But like I interchanged all my piercings with like clear ones that had little diamonds on it. So I wasn't walking out with like black piercings on and like different colored ones. I kept it all the same and everything matching. So I think just keeping yourself together and looking presentable is like really what they're looking for. And everything that I was wearing down to my nails and my toenails and my eye makeup all matched. So I think that's a big thing that they're looking for is, do you look well put together? Even if you may have tattoos or piercings, are you presenting them and showcasing yourself appropriately?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not easy. Like, do you see like it as a sport, or do you see it like as a pageant, like bodybuilding?
I would say it's both. I would look at it like it is a sport to most people, and it's something like we consider ourselves athletes. But for myself personally, it's not that I don't take it seriously. I think that I'm just more open-minded to like I'm passionate about it. And like at my first show, I wasn't disappointed, or even in my second show of how I placed. I was happy to be there and happy to be a part of it, and always have the mentality of it's me versus me. Like, I don't care about the other women on stage. I'm not really like, even though I'm competing with them, I'm really competing with myself of who I was last year and the year before. So it's all about bettering who I am. And I don't really pay attention to the background noise. I stay in my own lane and I just come to outdo myself. And I think that that's a good, healthy perspective to have. But there's a lot of people that are a lot more competitive in nature of, being disappointed if they don't place the way that they want to in a show, or feeling like they have to go to extremes to get the body that they want to be able to look a certain way for their next show. And I see in the industry too, it affect people mentally, going
Yeah,
to a show and not doing as well as what they thought because they've put the past year into trying to get there. And I think that I'm humble about it. I don't expect anything except doing better than I was before. I don't expect to be better than somebody else unless that is something I deserve. So I think having that humble mind state to it is just going to make it more fun and be able to be more passionate about it, rather than it being a stressful experience going through prep and competing.
yeah, yeah. It's not very easy. Everybody can't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah. How close are you to Dearborn?
I'm
And
about 4 hours away.
And then he asks, he's saying it's depending on the judges. Some judges are much of a fan of any external body modification. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, as long as as long as it's not really interfering with your physique,
Yeah.
you probably can get away with it. I know
Yeah.
there's people that's not too crazy about tattoos, so
Yeah.
that's why I asked. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And
yeah,
all of my
so
feedback from the judges, no one has ever mentioned my tattoos or piercings reflecting my placement or how they judged me. But he's very right. It's really personal preference to the judge and if they think it interferes with your physique or your presentation.
yeah, yeah, like like during like your show, like your first show, like how many competitors were there, like in bikini?
Bikini, there was so many. I mean, I think that there was like 10
Mm.
of us. And figure, there was 5 of us. So in figure, there were not as many girls that signed up compared to bikini, but there was a lot of bikini girls at my first show.
Oh. Was it? Were you like in a class like AEC or D or something like that? Because I noticed that
Yeah.
they have like different classes and stuff.
Yeah. I was in multiple different classes because, like, for bikini and for figure, I was in my height class, which was like, I think 5'4" to 5'6", but don't quote me on that because I don't remember all the details of that. But then they had like true novice, novice, and open. So you went on stage 3 separate times with like 3 different groups of girls, depending on their height and what categories they were in. And sometimes some wouldn't come back out, sometimes other people would. But to be honest, it being my first show, I was like really focused on myself, and like I couldn't tell you any of the girls' names I even competed with at either show. Because
Yeah,
you're out there and you're blinded, you're not really looking around, you're trying to look at the judges, so you're not really paying attention to the people by you, and you also don't really see anybody who's out there, and it's so loud, you're just waiting for your name to be called. It's very hard to pick up on other things going on, and maybe that's just a personal experience, but with it being my first show, I was, in the zone in my own little world, just like trying to do what I needed to do. And I didn't pay much attention to everything else going on.
yeah, yeah. I guess you had your game face on, so I could get that. Yeah, it's not easy. Were you like too nervous, like to a point? Was it a lot of people like in the background, like in the audience, or anything like that?
When you are on stage, you cannot
Yeah,
see who's in the audience and you can't make it out. And not just that, but like I wear glasses. I didn't wear my glasses
yeah,
on stage, so I really couldn't see like anybody. Like I couldn't make out people that were out there. I could see like 3 of the judges because I was in front of them at one point when I got changed into the middle. And then I was able to see like where the judges were, but you really don't see too much past that. Like it's very hard to make anything out because those lights are so bright in your eyes. It really does just blind you.
yeah, yeah. Do you feel is your best physical feature?
Um, I am told by many people that like my back is the most muscular part on my body and looks the best. I think that my best physical feature are my biceps. But I mean, it's what I feel and what other people tell me. So
What you feel like you need to grow more? Like, if I could ask you that
my
question.
legs, like my legs for
Yeah,
sure. 110%. My legs is what I've been focusing on the most. I haven't even really worked upper body in the past couple of months due to an injury. So I've really been focusing